I want to talk about, we kind of were talking about earlier in this episode during the current topics, we were talking about the Blue Note and what it was based on. And I don't think it's really based on anything. But that's like a first question we always ask. And my main topic is, does it really matter what pedals are based on?
Yep. End of segment. Yep.
Well, my point is, like, all these pedals years ago, like the Bad Monkey and stuff, well, that's like a tube screamer. Everybody says it's a tube screamer with a bass and treble control rather than just a tone control.
Mm-hmm.
And all these old pedals that used to come out, the TS10 series, all these things that were just based on other pedals, they didn't tell you what they were based on. They done a small tweak to them and put them out there. And if you liked them, you liked them and bought them. If you didn't, you didn't. But nobody was like, oh, that's just, I mean, maybe people were, but I didn't know anything about it at that time anyway. People weren't saying, oh, that's just a regular old blues breaker. You know, should these companies even be really talking about what they're based on?
You know,
Especially when they're tweaking the circuits to the point, I mean, should they say the King of Tone is based on a blues breaker whenever it's clearly radically changed?
okay, here's my opinion on it. I think there's a couple points you can make here. First of all, the main question you're going to get from people who are writing in, hey, what does this sound most like? You know how many manufacturers I bet have to answer that? Like, I bet they have to answer that till they're blue in the face.
Yeah.
What is this like? It's based off of this. That's the best I can tell you, because it's modded, but it is based off something similar to this.
Yeah.
So it's to get you in the ballpark of, oh, this pedal is around this realm.
I think some people are looking at it that way, but I think a lot of people out there, me included on occasions, I've kind of gotten away from it recently, but me on occasions, I've heard that and thought, oh, it's just a blues breaker. And just left it at that. It's not.
I agree. I'm not saying that it's a good thing that they're putting it out there. I just think it's try to give people a ballpark of where it lies.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of also my second point. I feel like it could be a marketing strategy. Like, and I'm not trying to call out people because Wampler does amazing things, but think of the Moxie.
Yeah.
Like, it is a tube screamer. You know, we've got this clipping section here that changes how it sounds, and, you know, we put our tweak on it,
Yeah.
but it is a TS10, so that way it can be affordable for anyone instead of, you know, buying a vintage one that's crazy money.
Yeah, see, for me, that's completely different. That's a guy putting out a pedal to kind of be like a TS10. And also, yeah, there's my tweak that you can make it sound different, but you can also make it sound just like a TS10, just like it.
In theory.
For way cheaper because you can't get one. That feels completely different to me than what it feels like whenever somebody puts out a pedal and it's like, well, it's inspired by a blues breaker. And just kind of leaves it like that. Because there's a million blues breaker clones. There's a million blues breaker inspired pedals. There's a million tube screamer inspired pedals.
Mm-hmm.
But if they just put a pedal out and just said, yeah, it's like a mid-pushed overdrive, you guys are going to love it. Well, people are going to infer that, oh, it's probably just like a tube screamer or whatever. But would we be better off just to, kind of like some of these amps, like modeling amps, like the Katana and stuff? Do we really need to know what this overdrive channel is based on? Or can we just listen to it and be like, yeah, I like it or I don't like it? I think we would be better off if we just listen to them and it's like, yeah, I like it or I don't like it. Of course, everything's inspired by something. I mean, the Marshall Plexi, you know, where did it come from? You know, where did all the Fender stuff come from years ago?
But I think it depends on what the product is. So, like, for instance, modelers, if you are modeling after a specific amp, you probably should label it correctly.
Should you label a Katana?
I think so. Because unless you want to put, here's sound 1, here's sound 2, here, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, why wouldn't
what
you
are you
do that?
going to name it?
Why wouldn't you do that?
I think you can do that. That's fine. And people are just going to say, oh, number 2's a Vox. Like, that's what they're going to instinctually do. Like, It's just kind of human nature. Like, we always try to associate things to what we know. That's just human psychology.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
We just try to associate, not to say that it's correct.
It's freaking annoying, though, man.
Well, there's society. I don't know what to tell you. But for
Yeah.
real, like, that's just kind of human nature. I don't think you're ever going to get away from that. You're going into the marketing portion of the pedal. You're going into helping answer those generic questions that people send in thousands of comments, like, what does this sound like? What is it? I think it's really just to ease over that portion. And other than that, to me, it depends on how the manufacturer markets it. Like, if they truly say, this is based off of this, but completely different. We want you to think about this as a new circuit because it doesn't sound anything like the old. Like, that is up to them to make that decision.
Yeah, you're right.
If they say that, then I think it buys some, not clout. I don't know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, legitimacy.
Yeah, that was a good word.
Yeah, there you go.
Proud of you. Yes, it buys some legitimacy to what the product is. But if they just say it's a tube screamer and then they just kind of let it go, well, that's kind of on them. They didn't explain it.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm the first person whenever I'm telling you about a new pedal I saw, I'm like, oh yeah, they put out a so-and-so and it's a Dumble-inspired pedal.
Right.
Or it's a Blink-inspired pedal.
Again, that's human nature. We associate.
Yeah. Yeah, and I guess if you're interested, it kind of gives you an idea of like, if you like Tube Screamers, you should check this pedal out. Or if you're not a Tube Screamer fan, maybe you should pass on this pedal. But I think whenever they're inspired by something and they throw that out there, people immediately pass on it when maybe their tweak on it is just enough to get you in the door to actually liking it.
You know what's funny, and this is kind of a tangent? Anytime someone says it's based off a tube screamer, I'm immediately tuned out. Isn't that weird?
I am too. I've got no
As
interest.
soon as someone says it's kind of on a tube screamer kick,
It's a Tube Screamer with extra bass.
I'm like, okay, I know it's not for me.
Yeah.
Like, thanks for that. Appreciate it. Now I'm not interested. So, like, you've taken out a complete market too.
Yeah.
So, manufacturers have to think about that, and I'm sure they do.
That's part of why I'm saying that too, is like, should we care what they're even based off of and stuff? Because you are hurting your market in some ways.
Depending on what it is.
But then they'll get on the gear page and they'll just be like, oh yeah, I looked at the circuit and it's a blah, 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 blah with just a modified blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And, it's going to be out there anyway. So maybe it is best just to like let them know. I love unique circuits. I love the fact of having unique circuits out there.
Well, let's be honest. It's kind of like movies nowadays. Everything's a sequel.
Most.
Everything's a spinoff.
Yeah.
There are hardly no unique ideas anymore.
But boy, when they are unique and there's something fresh out
it's
there,
really cool.
it's refreshing and amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. What do you guys think? You guys think they should be telling us what these pedals are based off of? Or just letting us figure it out on our own?
Yep.
See you guys next week.
See ya.